Hey friends, welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'm so sorry I haven't uploaded anything in a little while. A lot of people want to start working with exotics, but are worried about the challenges behind it. So today I want to talk to you guys about those challenges. It can be a little bit difficult, and one of the reasons, in fact the main reason behind that, is because it's not a smooth leather. So obviously the scales are smooth, which you know because you're watching this video, the scales are smooth. However, it's the spaces between the scales that make it difficult. With a smooth leather, and by that I mean one without scales, you have a consistent thickness the whole way across the hide, across the skin, whatever it is that you're working with. This is not the case with most exotics. Most exotics that have scales, you have the thick parts, obviously, and then you have the areas between the scales. Now that's where the problems begin. One, because you can't split it down as thin as you can with a non-exotic leather. With the scales themselves, you can get them down really quite thin. You can get them down to probably about 0.8 mil, maybe 0.7 if you're very, very lucky. But if you try and split a entire skin that isn't prepared properly, you can obviously get garment leathers that are very, very thin, but they are prepared in a different way. A normal, let's use alligator for an example, because this is an alligator skin that I'm working with. If you're working with an alligator hide, an alligator skin that is non-garment, you will struggle to get it below about 1.2 mil, something along those lines. This one is 1.2, so it's quite thick for what I normally use. And for that reason, I'm splitting my goat skin, which I'm lining this with. It's a French goat skin. I'm splitting it down to 0.5, I think this one was actually. I normally don't go below 0.8, but because I wanted to save some thickness somewhere, I had to save it with the lining itself. And this is fully lined, this card holder. My client asked for it to be fully alligator, fully lined, and that's what I'm doing. So going back to why it's difficult, the area between the scales, I don't actually know what they're called. They are much, much thinner, but they're also much, much softer. They're a different makeup than the scales themselves. So if you try and split the whole thing down to a fine leather good thickness, you will blow through those. You'll blow through the area between the scales, and you'll get lots and lots of holes in your skin, which obviously is not ideal. Now, there's two things you can do about it. One, you can either just get a garment skin, which I don't actually love using. They're a bit soft for my liking. You have to reinforce it, and then you've kind of gone... You've kind of wasted the point of the garment skin at that stage. Or you can go with a very, very thin lining leather, which is what I'm doing here. The other challenges when working with exotics is stitching it. Now, again, if you're using a consistent thickness skin, so let's say goat skin, which in this example, or calf, which is really common as well, you will punch your hole, you'll prick mark your holes, or you'll use a sewing machine, or whatever it is that you use. I personally don't use sewing machines, but that's just me. So you'll mark your holes, and then you will stitch it, and you'll get the same amount of pull between each of the stitching holes consistently. They will all be the same amount of pull between them. When you're working with exotics, because you are going to get stitches that go between the scales, there's no way to avoid it. Well, you could avoid this by having an inconsistent stitching pattern, but let's face it, no one's going to do that. So if you have a consistent stitching gap, so mine is 3 millimeters, unless I'm doing watch straps when it's 2. 7mm, but in the majority of cases it's a 3mm stitching gap, you will get stitches between the scales. Now that means that you're going to have inconsistencies with how much pull is between each stitch. Can you do anything about this? Not really. You just have to practice how much tension you put on the threads when you're stitching. So obviously you don't want to pull really hard, because you'll pull your thread through the skin itself. It's not invincible, it's leather after all. And therefore it can get a little bit difficult when you're stitching exotic skins. So I used to struggle a lot when I started out and I was stitching alligator skins, or I was stitching crocodile skins. God, that's a mouthful. When I was stitching crocodile skins, and it just takes practice, and most importantly it takes patience. You have to be patient with yourself, because the first time you do it, it's not going to look amazing. But this leads me on absolutely perfectly to painting alligator skins. So you can't burnish alligator skin, because alligators and crocodiles, the majority of them are chrome tanned. I don't actually know if there are any veg tan exotic skins, but that's kind of beside the point. When you're painting exotic skins, again, because you have inconsistencies, you're going to have to live with the fact that you will have a slightly bumpy edge, because you will, depending on which orientation you've cut your skin, you'll either have the sideways or the upwards gaps, and you can smooth them out a little bit if you use a creasing iron, but you will always have a bit of bumpiness to your edge, and you just have to kind of live with it, for lack of a better word. Gluing stuff, anything, to alligator or crocodile, if it's not suede, is insanely difficult, because if you don't scratch off the surface of the alligator skin or the crocodile skin, you will not stick anything to it, because it's a scale. It's not the same it's not the same anatomy as a goat skin, for instance, which is much more porous. Exotic skins in this context are not very porous, if at all. So if you just glue something to the top of a exotic skin, it will probably not stick very well, and it will probably peel. So you have to scratch the top. I would recommend scratching the grain side of any leather when you're gluing it, but you have to do that with exotics. Now you might be wondering, Will, why did you put non-stretch tape between the pockets? On anything, card holders particularly, when you're bringing your card in and out of your wallet or your card holder pocket multiple times a day, sometimes if you go on a shopping spree, after a while the perforations for those stitches will start to wear through. So I like to put non-stretch tape at the bottom of the T-slot and behind the actual card holder slot itself, so all of the tension for all of the parts has non-stretch tape. It just gives so much more life to the actual piece. Now, why in God's name are you putting someone else's logo on this? Well, because this is not my product, it's my pattern. I designed this pattern, but this is something for a shoemaker. This is something that he's offered his client. They've obviously ordered a bespoke pair of shoes with this particular leather, this absolutely stunning black and red leather. And he obviously, as a shoemaker, doesn't make wallets, doesn't make card holders. So he has asked me to make one for him, and obviously I have obliged, and that it's called Outwork. It's very, very common within the leather industry, is a company that specializes in one thing. So let's say George Weatherly, for instance, or Ascot, they make shoes as well. They do one thing, so they make shoes. They are not leather workers in the sense of making accessories. So they will find a maker like myself, and lots and lots of leather workers do this. I don't know how commonly it's spoken about, but oh well. So they will find a maker. They will say, okay, what patterns do you have available, and how much do you charge? And like myself, for instance, I will send them a specification pack that says I make these patterns and this is how much I charge, and I will have a logo made, and that's it. I will make a piece with their pattern, with my pattern. Sometimes it's with their pattern, but in this case it's mine, and I had a logo made, and that's it. So there we go. That is what outwork means. I just thought I'd let you know because I thought it's quite interesting. So I'm about to stitch this, and I've had lots and lots of people asking me, do I punch all the way through because it's really thick? Do I punch one side and then the other? What do I do? So this is what I do. I prick mark one side, and I prick mark the other side, and then I stick them together and I stitch them. But the one thing to keep in mind, and the most important thing, if you're not using reverse irons, if you're using reverse irons, this is different. But because I'm not using reverse irons, and you will get a cross, you'll get an X at each of the stitching points. If you cast, as in if you tie a knot on each stitch, you will get a straight stitch. You will not get nice angles to it. I don't know the physics and the mechanics of how that works, so don't ask me in the comments, but that's what you do. You don't cast when you're doing it in this method. But it does make it so much easier, because trying to punch holes all the way through something that is like 6 mil, I didn't measure it, but like 6 mil, it's probably more than that actually, thick, and getting it to come out exactly where you want it on the reverse side is really, really hard. It is possible, but it's not worth the hassle and the possibility of blowing through or going too close, going too far away. It's just not worth it. Do it like this, but you have to have a pattern that is really, really well designed, and you have to know exactly that your stitches are going to be exactly where you want them to be. Otherwise, when you stick it together, you will have an uneven amount of stitches on each side, and that will be a bad day for you. One of the things that he specified, the shoemaker, was that he wanted matching thread and matching edge paint. So I hope he's happy with this result. I think that it's matching, and I think that the edge paint is basically perfect, which you're about to see in a moment. By the way, if you're interested in this particular pattern, it is available on my website for sale, so I will leave a link to my website in the description box below. If you would like to make one of these for yourself, it's for a 3mm pricking iron, and it took me a long time to perfect this. So if you want to get your hands on one, or any of the other patterns I have developed and have available, the link is in the description box below. Now, I'm not a magician. I didn't just put filler on and then whilst it's wet, put the paint on. I did let it dry and sand it back down, but you guys do not need to see an hour of me sanding edges, so I'm not going to show you. Thank you guys so much for watching, I really appreciate it. I hope you have a phenomenal week. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, let me know what you think of the card holder, and I will see you next time. Take care.